Okay, this is Holy Grail Wisdom Quotes. We're doing Quotes of Goethe by me, Pete Rogers, the book. We're on part 4 of Goethe quotes, and these are some of his good stuff. We're really getting into the better stuff now. Things that matter most must never be at the mercy of things that matter least. Yeah, you got to prioritize your time in your life so you spend as much time as possible with the good stuff. It's kind of like that book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Covey. All right, next quote. The person born with a talent they are meant to use will find the greatest happiness in using it. Yeah, so you want to try to set up your life so you can get paid for doing what you like to do. That's not that easy, or at least so you got enough time to do your hobbies, because you feel happy when you do the thing you like and you're good at, but a lot of times it's hard to get money for that. So it's good to plan when you're young to make that happen if possible. Goethe, instruction does much, but encouragement does more. Yeah, a lot of times when you talk to somebody, you gotta compliment them first before you criticize them or you bum them out. And like when you talk to a kid, you gotta it's better to make them like reading than to just tell them what to do. Next for Goethe, the way you see people determines how you treat them, and the way you treat them determines what they become to you. Yeah, like some secretary, if you're nice, you become friends, and if you're not nice, then she hates you and is passive aggressive to you. I've had a lot of good friends that were secretaries. Okay, the most difficult thing to see is that which is right before our faces. Yeah, a lot of times the thing nobody will talk about or pretend even exists will be like that politically correct thing, which everybody knows is the immediate relevance. And, Christians should stop apologizing. Christian made most of what is good in the world, and everybody wants to live in their country. And then, this hand, the left, comes in and starts saying the Christians are a bunch of jerks. It's like, give me a break. Stop apologizing, those jerks. All they want to do is destroy things. They're worthless. Okay, there's another way to phrase that quote. The most difficult thing to talk about is that which is right before our faces. And that's a lot of times what makes a good comedian. They're willing to say things that everyone else is thinking about but isn't willing to say or isn't able to articulate. Okay, and a lot of times that's the same thing, too, that makes a good scientist, a good doctor, or a good expert on whatever the subject is. They're willing to say the important stuff that for some reason there's some psychosocial obstacle to saying. Okay? All right, to produce the smallest creative work, I need absolute solitude. Goethe, yep. More quiet. And like I said, too, like when I'm around noisy places, like my old house or something going on here, I just put my earphones on. It helps me to get work done. The highest joy of a man is the growth of his personality. That sounds a little bit like Soren Kierkegaard. Every man hears only what he understands. Goethe, yeah. The intelligent man finds laughter in most things, the sensible man in hardly anything. Yeah, I know a lot of doctors that are like that. Basically, you're rewarded as a doctor for having no sense of humor, just being polite and professional. And a lot of docs become like that all the time, and they're kind of boring. But it's actually kind of smart to be that way. Like I knew this one other doctor in my field, and he's a good guy. But I thought he was a little bit boring. And I knew other younger doctors who trained with him. They go, yeah, he's always politically correct and polite and stuff. They go, he will never get in trouble. And I'm the kind of person who gets in trouble because I'll say the truth or I'll make a joke, But, life is pretty boring if you're not allowed to say the truth or make a joke, There was that one writer, Jack Kerouac, who wrote On the Road, and he said, what's the point of writing if you're not going to say things the way you want to say things, then why write? Okay, Goethe. Personality is everything in art and poetry. And I think there's some truth in that. Taking a little bit different, phrase it a little different, like in a writer. A good writer has a voice. You can hear that individual speaking to you. Only that person could have written that book. Like when you read Schopenhauer and Schopenhauer's clever commentaries, Art of Literature or something, only Schopenhauer could have written that book. You read Ayn Rand, the Romantic Manifesto about romanticism in literature. Only Ayn Rand could have wrote that book. And that's characteristic of a magnificent book, that it's the voice of the author. And, when an author speaks true to their heart, then they're better. Okay. Individuality of expression is everything in art and poetry. So, it comes from the Goethe, the German, so the translations, there's a little slightly different ways of translating it. Okay, in the end, we retain only that which we apply. Yeah, you got to use knowledge. You can't just have knowledge to memorize. You got to use it in some way, which could just mean having a conversation about it. First, build a proper goal, then the proper goal will make it easy, almost automatic, to build a proper you. The important thing in life is to have a great aim and the determination to attain it. So yeah, that's good about Goethe. What I like about Goethe, again, he's encouraging. He's like Brian Tracy. He's like Ralph Waldo Emerson. He's like, go for it. You can do more than you think. Just think about it, come up with a plan, and you can really achieve a lot. So I like that he encourages that. I also like that, what I like about Goethe too is he basically, felt Kant was FOS, full of BS. He felt that Hegel was full of BS. So Hegel and Kant are, in my opinion, the two evil German philosophers of the sort of Enlightenment, Romanticism type phase, that era. They're the scumbags, okay? The ones who are really good. Goethe's fantastic for his enthusiastic audacity to achieve more and more and to suck up all the knowledge of the world. Okay, that was great. Schopenhauer was magnificent, a genius for accurately describing things and telling the truth about complex, unpleasant topics or just difficult topics that are really useful to read. I actually got a lot more benefit out of reading Schopenhauer than Goethe, but I like Goethe because he pumps me up, he inspires me. And I like his ideas. He's got a lot of cool things. Okay, let's go to a couple more quotes here. In the face of criticism, one can neither protest nor respond. One can only continue to do good, and with time, the situation will likely yield in their favor. Yeah, I've had times when powerful people were hassling me, and a lot of what I did was I just said, you know what? They're being unfair to me. I'm just going to be super good, super nice, and anybody who sees the truth, who's around the two of us for a while and somebody's being nasty to me, it'll become pretty obvious that I'm trying to make things right and I'm being good, and the other person's the one who's stirring up BS, okay? So that's what I found that a helpful strategy. And there's really not much else you could do. A lot of times the average individual's coming from a position of relative weakness. They don't have the resources, the clout, the social connections, so you're going to get screwed over sometimes. And I got screwed over plenty of times. But a lot of times it came out fine in the long run. Because I've had some people who've insulted me, done nasty things to me, and will have a similar social circle. And a little bit of time goes by, 2 years or something, and everybody's like, well, gee, I'm so nice, so smart, so helpful, so much fun. And the other person's always nasty, angry and bitching and unreasonable and unfair and lies. And they're like, well, gee, he's the nice one. Anyways, that's just how life is. You have to accept the fact you're going to get screwed over sometimes. So, okay, let's go to the next quote. Be generous and kindly with words, especially about those who are absent. Yeah, if you badmouth other people when they're not around, then people are going to think you'll do the same to them. It just diminishes you. Treat a man as he is, and he will remain as he is. Treat a man as he can and should be, and he will become as he can and should be. Yeah, again, that's typical Goethe, encouraging how to make the most of a situation. Divide and rule, the tyrant cries. Unite and lead is the watchword of the wise. Yeah, that's sort of like, what the Romans did, the old Roman Empire. They would divide the little adjacent city-states, and then they would just, once they got one isolated, they just beat the shit out of it, okay? Then they would do the same thing to the neighbor a little bit later. That's also why a small group of people can kick the shit out of a big group of people if the small group of people are united and the big group of people are not. And you see that all the time in these national conflicts where, Rome was sacked, 1526, because you had isolated city-states in Italy, like Rome versus Florence versus Venice and whatnot. If all the city-states of Italy had been more unified, they would have been better able to defend themselves. Same thing with the Irish. All these separate little chieftains, then English comes in with the national army and kicks the crap out of them. So, people need to be more willing to help each other. And I would say Christians, there are 2.3 billion of them, the biggest group of people in the world, the biggest religion in the world. They should be helping each other. They should be talking all about the Jenna, then what comes next, the word side, all over the world that's happening to Christians, and do what they can to prevent it, to prevent the destruction of these countries, like it's happening in almost all of Europe, okay, including Ireland, my father's homeland. Okay, Goethe continues. What is uttered from the heart alone will win other hearts to your own. Yes, that's true. Tell the truth, and people will have a tendency to sense it. They kind of get it. Goethe, there is no use in reproving vulgarity, for it never changes. Yeah, that's my opinion too. If somebody's a stupid lowlife, you can't tell them stop being a stupid lowlife because it's just programmed into them. All you can do really is avoid them. There's not much you can do with them. And vulgarity is pretty common. So I just avoid it. Okay, Goethe, we learn only from those we love. That's an exaggeration, but there is some truth. You think about the teachers that you remember, the few that you do, and usually you like them. I really loved my pathology teacher in med school because it was such a breath of fresh air to hear this guy systematically organize everything and make it sense and connect all the different parts. It was great. I can remember my high school teacher acting out while he was reading these poems and other things and little short stories, and that made everything memorable. That's what made the class good. I still remember all that stuff. Sinners in the Hands of an Angry God, Jonathan Edwards, okay, all that stuff. Anyways, that's it for part 4 of Goethe. I hope you found that helpful.